Right, so welcome to a new guide on this channel. In this occasion is the PO Arcade. This is not a review, it's a complete deep dive guide about this device. Everything on this guide is in chapters, so if you look at the description or the timeline, you can jump to a section or skip the ones you don't want. Now, if you like this, please like and subscribe. And if you have the money and you want to buy me a coffee, you can check the links at the description. Alright, so let me give you a brief introduction and then we will deep dive into each little thing. So this works like a sequencer. You have 16 patterns. Each pattern has 16 steps, and each step is also a sound and can be an effects or it can be a chord. Now you can audition all the different sounds you have available, playing all the way from the 1 till the 16. So right, so those are all the sounds, but notice that the 1 is a bass, then it's more percussive sounds, and then from all the way from the number 9, they are more melodic type of sounds. Right, so those are the sounds that you can use. Now this is a pattern-based device, so by holding the pattern right here, this button, you can just select the pattern. Maybe I'm going to be going to, I don't know, the number 2. Just hold the pattern, select the pattern number, maybe the number 1, and when you play it back, you're going to be auditioning that pattern. Maybe I can change patterns by holding the pattern. Maybe I want to go to the number 3, and it will cue to the number 3 that way. Maybe I can go to that one, the 10, and it will cue to the number 10. Right? Now you can change the BPM by tapping the BPM button that you get right there. And you have 3 main profiles. If I'm going to play it, you have the first one, which is going to be the hip hop, disco, and then you have techno. So it's 80 BPM, 120, and then 150. Right. But still, by tapping the BPM and holding it, you can move the beat off, and this is going to fine-tune the tempo. If I go all the way down, it's going to be 60 BPMs. And if I go up, it's going to be 170, 240. All right. Now, if you move this one, the number B, the number A, the number A is going to adjust the swing. All the way down, no swing. All the way up is going to give you that swing. Right? And all of this is just by holding the BPM and then the A and the B knob. The A and the B will control different params of each sound, but it depends on where you're standing. If right now I'm stopped and maybe I go to, I don't know, this sound, this one, that's fine. You're gonna go to A and the B, and as I move, the A is gonna change the sound. If I move the B, it's gonna do a different thing. Maybe I'm gonna go to a melodic one. Notice it's changing. It's changing the pitch right here. Notice that it says right there, you're going to an A, to an F, an E, and in this one, the B is going to do something different to the sound. So all the different sounds, they do something else because you have percussive, you have melodic types of sounds. So the A and the B react a little bit different to each sound. Some of them are going to be more percussive, so you don't get a chord, but on the chord ones, you do get it. Now, the A and the B will also be useful not to just adjust the sound, but to do other things. Again, all of this depends on what we are doing. When we use the chord, these ones will do something else, and we're going to talk about the chord in a couple minutes. Now, if the volume is just maybe too low or too loud, by holding the BPM, let me just do it like this. I'm just pressing and holding, and notice that, there we go. Notice that all the lights are on. So maybe I can select this one, and the volume is going to go all the way from 1 to 16. So this is how you manage the volume. If you want it really loud, then it's going to be the 16. If you want softer, maybe I'm going to be going to 10. So I'm going to stay on the 11. That's good for me. Another thing is that if you're worried about the batteries, this will go off after a few minutes of inactive playing. The screen is going to stay almost alive, but all the lights are going to go off. This is, what consumes the most battery life. Still, you can check how much battery you have left. If you go to sound and BPM, press sound, go to BPM, hold it, and this it says 92 right there at the top. So this is the remaining battery life I have left, 92%. Okay, so let's talk about how we can create different things with this device. Okay, so let's talk about creating patterns. So of course you can edit whatever sequence you're standing right now. Maybe I'm gonna go to maybe the number 1. You can edit whatever is that you have right there, but sometimes you want to start from the scratch with a clean pattern. The way to do it is by going to the chord, just press it and hold it, and then make sure that you're standing on the pattern number 1. Let's say that we want to reset that one. I'm gonna go hold, chord, and then I'm gonna press the pattern. This one is gonna blink and it's gonna clear the pattern, right? So we have nothing right now if I do play. Now make sure that you delete the patterns that you don't want, because once you reinitialize the pattern, there's no going back. You just cannot get it back again. Right, so cool. We have two main ways of creating patterns. We have live recording, and we can add steps like a normal step sequencer. Right, so first we're going to do the step sequencing, and then we're going to do live recording. Now, I will start on pattern number 1. If I go there, make sure that you have nothing. If you want to clear again, just hold the chord and press pattern. And once you do that, it's going to reinitialize, so we have nothing. Now, the first thing you need to do to start recording or adding or creating, a pattern is that you need to select the sound that you want to work with. And by doing this, PO knows that you want to work with that sound. So by doing this, you need to go to the sound button, press and hold it. So I'm going to press and hold it, and then you select one of these sounds that you have available. So when you do so, notice that you have a tiny little icon on each of the, the steps of the sounds. So it's going to give you a representation or some kind of a notification right there that you're choosing that sound, right? So when I play a key or select the sound, it's giving me or showing me the icon I am selecting. So PO knows that you want to work with that sound. So I'm going to be doing sound, and I'm going to stand on that sound. Now remember that when we select a sound, the A and the B will change the params of that sound. So when we record it, it's going to remember the changes that we do on the A and the B. Now the way we add the kick to the sequence is going to write. So when you do write, it's going to give you an icon right here telling you, dude, you're standing on step, sequencing. You're just, recording. So right now we are ready to enter whatever we had selected, which is the number 2. So I'm going to be going right here, and I'm going to go right here. Once I do so, I'm going to be doing some playing. And notice that we get it. Alright, so maybe I'm going to go up in volume. So let's say that we want to do some snares. So still, we need to select the sound. We are standing on the 2, which is, the bass drum. So I'm going to do sound, and I'm going to be selecting the number 3. Once I do so, I can just go and add some snares. It's kind of a sounds like a snare, let's say. And that's it, we get it. Now let's do a hat. So the hat is going to be, I'm going to get out of the rec mode so we can audition the different sounds. It's going to be that one, the number 4. So I'm going to do rec, I'm going to do sound and stand on the hat. And then I'm just going to, remember we on rec, we just add it to, the sequence. And that's how we just create a sequence. It's just pretty easy. All right. So like we discussed previously, every sound has 2 modifiers, the A and the B, and depending on where you're standing is going to be changing some of, property of the sound, or it's going to be changing the tune for the melodic, type of sounds. So for example, I'm going to get out of the rec, I'm going to get out of there. The 11 right here, which is going to be this one, is an arpeggio, right? So I'm going to be, kind of a recording this step, but the thing is that when you do so, first, of course, we need to select it. I'm going to go to sound and select the number 11, and I'm going to go to rec. So we are recording something. So if I add the steps and do something like that, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do something like that. Notice that when we add, it's the same pitch over and over again. So how can we, just change the pitch for different steps? So when rec is on, we can go to each step and change something on the A and something on the B on a step-by-step, type of deal. So maybe let's see, I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to go to step number 5. Rec is on. I'm going to press and hold it, and I'm pressing and holding. So now I can move this, and I'm just going to be changing, right? It says right there, I'm going to be changing the pitch for this one, and maybe I can change something on the B. If I go to this one, I'm going to be changing the pitch to something else. Same thing on this one. And I'm just going randomly right here. I'm not overthinking this. And this one is going to go all the way up, right? So once I play it, right? So we are able to record or change on a step-by-step the param, the A and the B, which is the pitch and the something else. We can still do the same on the percussive parts, right? So what we are doing now, we are making changes on step by step, right? But we can do it live. We can do rec and play and record changes live. So this is called param blocking or motion sequencing or motion recording. You know, you have different names. Okay, so you can do this with rec on or rec off. The trick right here is that you need to play, and the trick again is that you need to press and hold the rec. So I need to press and hold it. It doesn't matter if this one is on or off. So in this case, I'm going to be playing. I'm going to go to the rec. I'm going to press and hold. Oh, sorry for that. Just bumped the camera. And I'm going to modulate the A and the B. And this is just going to record the changes. And that is just doing it. Right. So that's it. Let me just do something like that. What? So again, just by holding and moving, modulating, it's just gonna record the changes. Right. If you want to lock it to a very specific place, you know, what you're doing, essentially, you're recording the motion of this. So maybe just press and hold and keep holding, and when you leave it on a single place, it's just gonna be the same over and over on all the different steps. Maybe I'm gonna go all the way down, and it's gonna be, you know, that property on all the different steps, right? So another thing that I didn't mention is that you can play or addition other sounds while the sequence is going. Now, of course, it's gonna joke some of the sounds, but you know, if the rec is off, make sure the rec is off, I can, you know, play other sounds and it's just gonna go and do it. So you can use this for live purposes if you wanted to. Right, so let's talk about live recording, and it's pretty simple because now we know the step recording, how that works. So this is going to be a piece of cake. Now we don't have a metronome on this device, so you have a metronome right there. When you play it back, you know, you'll just get it, but you know, maybe it's not the best thing. So what you can do in this case, I'm going to make sure this I stand on the pattern number 1, and I do chord and I do pattern to start with a clear pattern. So what you can do, maybe you can select a percussive element like the kick drum, and I'm going to be adding this to the sequence, and I made a mistake right there. I'm going to be going to sound, I'm going to select the bass drum or the kick drum, and I'm just going to be recording a 4 in the floor, right? So now we know where we are. So okay, so how can we live record? So I can get out of the step sequencing, you know, the rec is off, and the only thing that we need to do, notice that I can play the different sounds. And the only thing, again, you need to do is just press and hold the rec. While you're pressing and holding, you can just play the sounds live. And that's going to be recorded and burned into the sequence. Maybe I can do something like that. Alright, that's fine. You have the other parts. Maybe I'm going to be doing this one. Press and hold. And there you go. That's how it works. Alright, so we know that we can do play, and by holding the pattern, maybe we can just change to a different pattern on the fly. It's just going to cue the next pattern. So what I want to do now, I want to chain patterns. So I'm going to be creating an example, just more useful example. Let's say that we want to create a type of song, right? So we want a progression. We want to play the first pattern, then we want to go to the 2, then we want to go to the 3, and so on and so on and so on. We want to chain patterns. So I'm going to stand on the pattern number 1 for now, and I'm going to make sure that this one is completely clear. And I'm going to be creating something. You don't need to do it with me. I'm going to actually do it behind the scenes. I'm going to be adding maybe some steps right here. All right, so this is going to be my first pattern. It's just a kick and a snare. All right, so pretty simple, just a kick and a snare. So what I want to do, I want to take whatever I did on the pattern number 1 and then paste it on the pattern number 2, so we can just, reuse it and just expand it and create a progression. So what I want to do now, I want to copy whatever I did on the pattern number 1 and paste it on the pattern number 2. It is a little bit funky, so you need to make sure you're standing on the pattern that you want to copy, right? So once you make sure of that, what you need to do is to hold the pattern, the right, and then tap whatever you want to paste it. So I'm gonna go pattern, I'm gonna hold it, and actually it's gonna be a little bit more comfortable right there. I'm gonna hold the pattern button. I'm gonna hold the right, and I'm gonna tap it to the number 2. And notice that now the number 2 is blinking. And if I play it, we have the same thing we had on the pattern number 1. And I'm standing on the pattern number 2. Right there. We see it right there. Okay. So now I'm going to be extending what we did on the pattern number 2. Okay, so that's it. I just added some hats, something really simple. The idea is to identify the different patterns when we play the progression. So now what I want to do, I want to copy the number 2, just like we did before, and paste it on the pattern number 3. I'm sure that I'm standing on the pattern number 2. So I'm going to be holding the pattern, holding the right, and I'm just going to tap the number 3, and it's just going to be copy pasting. And now we are on the number 3. So on this one, I'm going to maybe add a different sound. I'm going to stand on the bass. And this is how the bass sounds. And I'm just going to be adding some bass sounds right here. Right? So that's it. So if I play it back, if I go to the pattern number 1, it's just the kick and snare. If I go to the number 2, it's just the kick, snare, and hat. And if I go to the number 3, it's just the same, but with a bass. So we want to create a progression right here, so we can chain patterns. And the way that this works is that you need to hold the pattern and then tap the order where you want for the patterns to play. And you can chain up to 16 different patterns. Let's do it. I'm going to be going to holding the pattern, and I'm going to go rec off. I'm going to hold the pattern, right? I'm holding. So now I'm going to be going twice of 2. I'm going to do maybe go to the 3. I'm going to do it 4 times. And then I want for the number 2, the pattern number 2, to play twice. So I'm going to do 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2. And if I play it back, we can just, double check and verify this. 1, 2, next. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And next. Right? And back to the beginning. Right, so that's it. Now notice that at the top, it's telling you what you're doing. Which patterns you're playing. So if you want to start over, the only thing that you need to do is just tap right here, or maybe if you want to get out of the chain, just tapping a single pattern is gonna, just play that pattern. And you can do, whatever you like, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just going crazy. And if I play it back, it's just gonna, start changing different patterns. Right. Okay, so let's talk about the chord mode. So every PO has a unique function. On this one is the chord. It's going to be that one right there. Now, and it's pretty cool. Now, on one side, you have something that calls drone. And if you take a look right there in purple, it says drone. So param A is going to be the sound, the drone sound, the volume for the drone sound. And the B is going to be the sidechain. And don't worry, we're going to use it in a minute. Now, on the other side, this chord thing, this chord function gives you something else. You can create chord progressions, and you do it like you would do the pattern chain that we just did. Now, I'm going to show you a chart right now on the screen, and it's giving you something that says chords 1 to 16. Well, these are the 16 different steps, and each step will be a chord. So you're going to use it to create a progression. So you need to remember, or to maybe have the chart of what is what right here, right? Because you're gonna need it. If not, you just don't know what you're doing. You can get that chart, from the manual. Now the chord function again creates a chord, but it's a different way of doing it. So, okay, so let's just use it. I'm going to create an example. I'm going to stand on the pattern number 1. And if I play it, we have the dumb, kick and snare I did on the previous one. So on this one, I want to add a bass. So I'm going to stand on the sound. I'm going to go to sound number 1. And that one is the bass. I'm going to go to step recording by enabling the rack. And I'm just going to be adding maybe something like that. It doesn't matter. Maybe I'm going to do something like that. Right, so we are adding the bass, and the bass is always playing the same key. Right. So what we want to do is that on each round of the sequence, each 16 steps, we want to change it to a chord progression. So I need to go to the chord. I'm going to get out of the rec mode. We don't need it. I'm going to go to chord, and when I'm holding the chord, notice that all the lights go off. So now, following the chart that I show you, I'm going to be showing you again right now. Maybe we can do a 1, then maybe we can do a 5 right here, and why not a 9? So it's going to be a D minor, F, and A minor. And we do this like we would chain patterns. It's going to be first this one, then this one, and then this one. And notice that it will show you the progression. And I'm going to release it. So now what we do is we're going to be doing some playing. And notice that it starts. And then change it and goes back. Right? So that's it. It's actually a very cool thing. Because you just can do a little bit more than just 16 patterns. You can do a progression, of course. Right? So super cool. Now, some of the sounds don't care about the progression because they are percussive sounds, but the melodic sounds, like the bass, for example, will follow the chords. Right. For example, the number 11, which is this one, is an arpeggio. If I record something, maybe I'm gonna select it and just show this to you. I'm gonna be maybe adding. I'm gonna go to rec on, and I'm gonna be adding it right there. Notice it's changing. It's changing and following the chords. Right. So this is what the chord mode will do. It's one of the things that the chord mode will do. The other thing is the drone function. I'm gonna get out of rec. So the drone, what it does is just a synthesizer playing the chords, following the chord progression we just did. That's it. That's just what it does. So how can we enable this? I'm going to be going to chord, and I'm going to press and hold it. So now the A and the B is for the drone. So this one is the volume of the drone, the A. And I'm going to go all the way down to the B right now. And if I go up, it's just the volume. If I go all the way down on the A, the volume of the drone, I'm going to do something like that. The volume of the drone is just down. I just can go a little bit up, and we get more. Now the B is going to be a side chain. So on each beat is going to duck. So we can go a little bit louder on this one. And this is what the drone will do. This is the second feature of the chord progressions, and then the drone. Now, what if we wanted to create a new chord progression? Can we do it? Yeah, of course. I'm gonna go to the chord, and if I just want to do one single chord, maybe one, just like I did right now, it's just gonna be just one. Over and over. Let's say I want to do twice, what we did before, which it was D minor. Let's say 2 of D minor, then 1 of F, and 1 of A minor. I'm gonna hold the chord. I'm gonna do 1, 2, then this one, and then this one. So if I stop it and play it back, it's going to be twice D minor, then go to F, A, and then back to D. Right. Remember, notice that when I stop it, the drone is off. So you need to kind of re-enable this again. Really cool one. So I really like this one. Okay, so this is the chord function. Okay, so I'm going to start with the new sequence. I'm going to go to the pattern number 1. We are already there. And then hold the chord and then go to pattern, and we have nothing. So we need to talk about the step multiplier. So I'm going to select something a little bit more percussive. Maybe this one just going to be a little bit easier to hear. I'm going to go to sound, select the hat, and then just maybe add it right here, here. And you know what? I'm going to be adding it just on the first one. All right, so we have a lonely hat. Super simple. Now, rec on, I'm going to press this one and that step, and I'm going to go to BPM. When I do so, it's going to play the step twice. So what it's doing is just re-triggering the same step. That's why it's called step multiplier. Just going to re-trigger it. In this case, it's twice, but you can go and re-trigger it 3 times and up to, I believe it's up to 5 times. So if I do it again, you know, it's just doing it. I'm going to go BPM and maybe go to hip hop. So it's slower. I'm going to do it again. This is a lot more times. And at some point, you're going to keep doing it. And it's going to go back to 1. Now it's doing it more and more. And back to 1. So of course, you can just maybe add, you know, different sounds. And for this one, you're going to be re-triggering more times. And, you know, doing something like that. Right? It's really, really cool. Right, so let's talk about the effects. So we have 16 different effects that we can use. Now, on most POs, the effects is something that we apply on the sequence and we burn it and record it to a sequence. Now, on this one is a bit different. So you get the 16. I'm going to show you a chart on the screen right now so you can see all the 16 different effects. So notice that the 1, 2, and 3, and 4 are more like slowing the chords and the lead, or maybe a combination of different instruments. So here's, it works a little bit different than the other POs. So let me give you an example. Let me maybe go to, I don't know, the sequence number 5, or this one, which is the 6. Let's see what we get there. All right, so this is the sequence. So how can we check the effects? I'm going to be going to the effects. I'm going to press and hold it. So the one, remember what it will do when I don't. So it will solo the chords. And notice that when I press and hold the effects, it's going to tell you, dude, you're using that one, that effects. But maybe I can just change it to something else, which is drum. And this one is going to be drum and bass. Now, fun thing, and this is why this one works different from the other POs, the other row is going to be the filter, you know, low pass, high pass. So I can enable that as well. And this one, it's not going to go off. So this one kind of works in a row. And this only works, of course, if I'm holding the effects. If I release it, we go back, but you know, we have it enabled. If I go back to effects, we can just disable it and go back to the beginning. Right, so you can use it as a performance tool. Now the other ones are more re-triggering and kind of a glitch effects. So if I maybe so I'm gonna go to 5, 6, 7, and 8. Notice that it will do it for a measure and then it will go away. In this case, this one is not doing it a full measure. Oh, in this case, it does. So I guess it will start from here and then end right there. Now, the other ones, again, are just glitches. Alright. So these are the different effects that you get. And you need to do a little bit of experimenting right here. It's a really cool PO, right? I really like it. Because, you know, you can do some of the things that you can't do with other POs, but it gives you the chord feature, and the chord feature is super cool, and the effects is really useful because you just can be, you know, doing something live and just, you know, create a different combination of effects and just get something, you know, really different. Now, the last thing for this one is going to be the fade. So you have something called fade. I'm going to go to effects and make sure that, you know, I have nothing. And notice that right there it says fade. So if I do effects and play and I hold both, it's going to fade it out. I'm gonna press and hold it. And notice that you get an arrow right there. So it's fading out. So this PO, in terms of how it works with the effects and the fading out, I guess Teenage Engineering thought of this as a performance, more like a performance tool, because it has some features that are very cool for performances. Right, so that's it. So hopefully you liked all of this. Remember, if you did, to like and subscribe. And if you have the money and you just want to buy me a coffee just to say thanks, you can go to the links at the description. And you have links for PayPal, you have YouTube thanks, and you have Patreon. Maybe you can be a 1-month patron. Also, you have links for sample packs and preset packs that I create. So if you want to maybe get one and just help the channel that way, you can. Right? So see you on the next one.